The rain started sometime after Caesar. The kind that didn't announce itself. Just arrived quietly. Turned the city grey. Instead, Nora Calloway stood in front of her bathroom mirror, pressing a small pearl ring through her left ear. 23 years old, freshly graduated, freshly unemployée, freshly free of the academic scaffolding that had held her upright. For the last 4 years, she told herself, she was doing fine. She told herself this most morning. Her apartment was small, a kind of small. That realtor called cozy and meant it. A warning. A single window looked out. Over a fire escape and beyond it, a narrow slice of the Portland skyline. Going soft and silver in the rain. She had done fairy lights along the curtain. Road, not because she was whimsical, but because the overhead bulb had burned out 2 weeks ago and she hadn't gotten around to replacing it. She pulled on her jacket. Her phone buzzed. You better not. Buy on me, Nora. He made pumpkin bread. She smiled at the screen. That was Sienna Walsh for you. A girl who used pumpkin bread. Emotional leverage and summer made it. Work every time. They'd been close since sophomore year of college, bonded first by a shared dislike of their intro to sociology professor, and then by something hard to name, kind of is with each other that didn't require explanation. Sienna was everything Nora wasn't. Loud, confident, a kind of person who walked into a room and immediately understood ETS. Geometry. She came from money, all money, kind, and lived in a house on the east side that had an actual dining room, with actual crown molding. Nora had been there enough times to feel completely at home and also, occasionally, completely alien. She texted back, on my way. Don't it all. The bread. Outside, the rain was thin. But persist. Nora walked 2 blocks to the bus stop, shoulder hunched, watching the city arrange itself into ETS wet night version. She liked Portland in October, the way the leaf went orange and then brown, and then let go, the way everyone seemed to she did not think, on that bus, read, about anything particular. She was not looking for anything. She was simply going to see her friend, eat pumpkin bread, watch something forgettable on television, and come home. She did not know that the next 2 hours would rearrange everything. The Walsh house was lit up from the inside, warm light bleeding through the tall windows, jack-o'-lantern on the porch that had gone slightly soft. Nora rang the bell and waited, listening. To rain. Sienna opened the door. She was wearing an oversized flannel shirt and her hair was loose and she was holding, promised, a plate of pumpkin bread. 2 slices already carved out. You look cold, she said. Yeah, I am cold. Come in. Sienna stepped back, then lowered her voice in a way that immediately made Nora's attention sharpen. Head up, my brother is here. With Lily. Nora stepped inside. The house smelled the way it always did. All wood, cinnamon, something fairly floral. He didn't know your brother was in town. He is not supposed to be. Long story. Sienna handed her a slice of bread and led her towards the kitchen. Just don't make it weird. Nora was about to ask what that meant when she heard it. A small, high voice from somewhere down the hallway. A child's voice. Then a lower one. Patient, qui est? Impossible to fully make out. She followed Sienna around the corner into the kitchen. A man was crouched on the floor near the kitchen island. He had his back to the door, broad shoulder, and a grey only shirt, dark hair that needed cutting. He was crouched at the level of a small girl, 4 years old, maybe 5, who was sitting on the floor, with a coloring book and looking deeply dissatisfied with something. The man was saying something Nora couldn't hear. Then, slowly, deliberately, he picked up a red crayon and handed it to the little girl. H.I.S. fingeait rogue looking. Weathered. The girl took the crayon. Something in her face relaxed. Instead, crouched a moment longé, watching her. Before he stood. et turned around. HIS. Eyes landed on Nora first, notons. Sienna, not sweeping the room, directly. On Nora, if she were the new variable. In an equation et was quietly solving. Dark eyes. Shark feature face, the kind death. Looked like it had been true. Something and hadn't take it recover. Bu wasn't asking for sympathy about it. A Joe that needed shaving. Et was all day. Then her by a significant margin, she guessed, took she couldn't have said. Exactly how much. Et didn't smile. Et didn't speak right away. Sienna said. Nora, this is my brother, Garrett. Garrett, this is Nora. She's basically family. Garrett gave a brief no. Hey. Hey. Nora said. That was it. The little girl looked up from the floor and announced, without preamble, I'm Lily. I'm 4. Nora crouched down, almost, without deciding to. That is a very good age. You like your coloring book. Lily studied her with the frank severity that only very young children can manage. You can sit with me. Nora sat. Latte. She wouldn't be able to explain why that moment mattered so much. There was nothing dramatic about it. Just a child on a kitchen floor, a coloring book with a picture of a fox, and a man standing near the counter, watching her settle in next to his doctor with an expression she couldn't read. She didn't look up at him. She was already aware of him in a way that had nothing to do with looking. Dinner was. Sienna es douin, pasta from a box dressed up with jarred marinara and fresh basil, which was a very Sienna move and somehow worked. There were 4 of them at the table. Sienna talked. Nora answered. Lily ate approximately 4 noodles and announced that she was finished. Garrett cut the remaining noodles on Lily's plate into smaller pieces without being asked. Then looked up and found Nora watching him. She looked back down at her fork. How long are you in town? Sienna asked him. A few days. Et didn't elaborate. Sienna cut a glance at Nora, the kind. That carried entire paragraph, then changed the subject to something involving a coworker and a parking dispute, and Nora let herself be drawn into the story, grateful for the redirect. After dinner, Sienna carried Lily to the living room to watch something on television, and Nora found herself standing at the sink, rinsing dish, and then Garrett was busied her with 2 glass, setting them carefully in the basin. The kitchen was quiet. Outside, the rain had picked up again. You didn't have to do that, he said. With Lily on the floor. She asked me. Too. She asks a lot of people things. A pause. Not everyone says yes. Nora wasn't sure how to respond to that, so she didn't. She handed him a rinsed plate, and they set it in the drying rack. Do you live nearby? She asked, because it was a normal question that normal people asked. The other side of the river. Another pause, longer this time. Used to be closer point. She waited. Et didn't add anything. Latte, after. She said goodbye and walked back out. Into the rain, she turned the conversation over in her mind, the way you turn a stone to see what is underneath. Et hadn't told her anything. Et hadn't said a single thing that was specifically personal, but the gap in what he said, the place where word weren't felt more present than anything. Sienna's dinner guest usually offered. She told herself she was overthinking. She walked to the bus stop. The rain kept on. She told herself it didn't mean anything. On the bus home, Sienna's voice arrived via text. Don't get any ideas. Nora tipped back. What? Garrett. He saw you looking. He wasn't looking. A pause. Then. ES37. ES Brock. Et HAS a kid and a lot of stuff doesn't talk about. ES my brother and he love him, but it's not for you. Nora stared at the screen. He wasn't looking. She tipped. Again. This time, Sienna sent back only an emoji. Nora put her phone in her pocket. She looked out the rain streaked Window at the city sliding past. She hadn't been looking. She was very aware that she had been looking. She went back. 2 weeks later. The reason she gave herself was that she'd left a book, a worn paperback of short stories she'd been reading on Sienna's coffee table. Which was true. She had left it there. She retrieved it. In under 4 minutes. Garrett's truck was in the driveway. She told herself she hadn't noticed. She stayed for 3 hours. It was in the backyard when Sienna let her in, crushed beside the fence with a hammer and a box of nails, replacing a rotted section of planking. The sound came through the back door at interval. Deliberate, unhurried. Lily was in the yard, too, sitting on the step with a juice box, narrating his work in a running commentary and responded to with occasional single syllable. Fix things, Sienna said, following Nora's gaze through the kitchen window. Her voice was careful. Always HS. Even when we were kids, something break, Garrett fix it. That's a good thing. It's a survival strategy. Sienna turned away and poured 2 mugs of coffee. Her dad wasn't around much. Garrett started being the one who kept things running. It was 15. Nora rapped Botan. Around the mug. You never really talk about him. Doesn't he like being talked about? Sienna sat down. He was doing really well for a while. Actually. A decent contracting company. Good one, too. Then things went sideways. And they had to start over. She paused. That's about a much should probably say. They sat with that. For a while. Through the window, Garrett stood up, examined his work, crushed again, and tapped in another nail. Lily said something to him that made him reach over without looking and straighten her little winter hat. Motion was so automatic, so practiced. A kind of thing you did when it was just the 2 of you, all the time, and the small comfort had become second nature. Nora felt something shift in her chest that she did not have a name for yet. She started coming back, not constantly, not suspiciously. She told herself, just with frequency. She and Sienna had always seen each other regularly. So it wasn't strange. She told herself that repeatedly. She noticed visit by visit the architecture of his daily life. She noticed that he drank his coffee black and didn't seem to notice the taste. That he kept his phone face down on surface. That when Lily was upset, he didn't immediately try to fix it. He just got closer. Sat next to her. Let her be upset. This, Nora had read somewhere, was exactly right. This was actually the correct thing to do. Most people, including most adults, couldn't do it. The patience it required was not the kind you were born with. She noticed his hand, the callus, the ailing scrap on his left knuckle, where they were steady when they needed to be. She noticed the way he was with Sienna, qui, appreciative in small way, slightly formal. If he wasn't entirely sure, deserved the hospitality. He always helped without being asked. He always left things cleaner than he found them. She noticed that he watched her. Some team. Not the way some men watched. Women, with something to prove. More like a question he hadn't decided to ask yet. She started finding reason to talk to him directly. Small reason. Logistical. Sienna is on the phone. Can you tell her I'm out front? Or, do you know if there's a second bathroom? Or once when Lily tripped on the garden step and started crying and Nora was closest and reached her first. Brief, complicated look he gave her when he arrived a few seconds later and found Lily already being helped. Eve got her, he said. Ashie's voice, up close, was low. Careful. You know. Nora said. She handed Lily over. Terre untouched. For a second. Just the ordinary collision of a handoff. Her pulse did something completely unreasonable. She went home and sat at her kitchen table. For a long time in the dark. October became November. Nora got a part-time. Job at a design firm downtown. Entry level, underpaid. Exactly the kind of work she'd studied for and had mixed feeling about doing. She was good at it. She sat in front of her screen for 3 hours a day and made things look intentional. And the small pleasure of that was enough to keep her going. She did not think about Garrett whilst during working hours. She thought about him alone during non-working hours. She had begun to understand that she was in some kind of trouble. Trouble was not just that she was attracted to him, took she was with a directness that surprised her, since she'd never been particularly prone to attraction at first glance. Trouble was that what she felt had a weight to it. It was not casual. It was not the kind of thing she could pull in a draway and live there. Every time she spent a few hours at Sienna's house and came home, she felt the absence of him the way you feel the absence of warmth when a door closed. That was not casual. That was a problem. She wrote a list in her notebook, not because she was a kind of person who wrote list, but because her thoughts needed somewhere to go. Et is my best friend's brother. He's 14 years older than me. Et has a doctor. Et he's clearly dealing with things he hasn't told anyone. Et has never, in any direct or indirect way, indicated that he feel anything at all. He is not safe. She looked at the list for a while. But he handed Lily the red crayon, she thought. He straightened her hat without looking. He stay close when she's upset. She crossed nothing out. She closed the notebook. She called Sienna that evening and talked about her job, her apartment, a book she'd been reading. She did not say anything about Garrett. She listened to Sienna's voice, warm, little scattered, always slightly more interested in other people than herself, and felt a complicated gratitude for this friendship and also a low-grade guilt that she was doing nothing about. You're being quiet, Sienna said. I'm tired. You're never just tired. What else? Go. Nora looked at her ceiling, just figuring some things out. Pause. Then, Sienna, carefully. Nora, it's fine. Sienna, is it about? It's fine. Another pause. When Sienna spoke again, her voice was quiet. Has been hurt really badly. I mean badly. I'm not going to go into it. Whoever comes next is going to need a lot of patience and a lot of steadiness and a lot of I don't know. Durability. It's not a fun position. Nora was quiet. I'm not saying that to be mean. Sienna said. I'm saying it because you're one of the best people I know and I don't want you to get Nora said. I know. She hung up and lay on her back in the dark and stared at the ceiling for a long time. She did not sleep well that night. It was the second week of November, a Friday, when the fever started. Nora had come over for what was supposed to be a key evening. Sienna adored her Thai food. They'd planned to watch a film, but Sienna had gotten a call from work, a crisis of some kind involving a client, and a misforwarded email and 3 hours of cleanup and had disappeared into the studio with her laptop and her phone and a kind of focused grimness that Nora recognized as Sienna in problem-solving mode. Make yourself at home. Sienna called from down the hall. There's tea in the cabinet. I'm so sorry. Don't be. Do your thing. So Nora was alone in the living room with the Thai food and the television when Garrett came down the stair with Lily in his arms. Lily was flushed. Her cheek was pressed against his shoulder and she was holding the front of his shirt with both small fists. Garrett's expression when he saw Nora was briefly unguarded, a flash of something that looked almost like relief, before it closed again. Sienna is in the study. Nora said immediately, standing. I know, she texted. He adjusted Lily against him. She's got a temperature. How bad? He was already looking towards the kitchen, already making calculation. Need to check what Sienna has for ELL. Look. Nora moved to the kitchen without waiting. She found the medicine cabinet. Above the stove, children's ibuprofen. The correct formulation. And a small digital thermometer still in ETS packaging. She brooked both out. She set the ibuprofen on the counter, opened the packaging on the thermometer. He watched her. Lily watched her from his arms. Eyes glassy and heavy. He can't take her. Nora said. You don't have to. No. She held out her arms. Something moved. In his face. Lily reached toward Nora. Without hesitation. Nora settled her against her chest. Felt the small warmth of fever radiating through the girl's pajama. She sat on the couch. Repositioned Lily so her head was in the crook of Nora's arm. And began to Not a real song. Just a sound. Low and even. A kind that didn't require anything from anyone. Garrett stood at the entrance to the living room. And didn't move for a long moment. Then, he went to the kitchen and came back. With a glass of water, a children's spoon, and the ibuprofen measure. Carefully, he crouched in front of Nora and dealt out a spoon to Lily. Come on, Lily. Bird. Lily opened her mouth without protest. Drank the water when he offered it. Settled back against Nora's arm. They stayed like that for a while, Lily drifting, Nora keeping still. Garrett in the armchair across from them. With his elbow on his knees and his unclasped and his eyes on his doctor. The room was quiet. Outside, the rain that had been threatening all week had finally arrived and it came against the windows in wave. At some point, Lily fell asleep. Nora looked up and found Garrett watching her. The quality of that look was different from the ones before. Those had been question. This was something else. She held his gaze. She didn't look away. After a moment, he said very quietly. You don't have to stay. You want to stay. He looked at the floor. Then back at her. Something worked behind this expression. She could feel the effort of it. The cost. Nora, her name in his mouth for the first time, was careful. Like he was shaking the weight of it. I'm not going anywhere, she said. Didn't answer. But he saw where they rested on his knees. Slowly unclenched. She stayed until Sienna emerged from the study at midnight, tired and grateful, and immediately alert to something in the room she chose not to name. Garrett. Carried Lily upstairs. Nora got ready. Jacket and keys. At the door, Sienna hugged her and whispered. He saw. Sienna, he know. She squeezed Nora's arm. Just be careful. Nora walked out into the rain. Her hat was very loud in the key of the street. Sienna found out. Properly in December. It wasn't a one dramatic event, more like the sum of small things, which is how truth usually make themselves known. A look Nora didn't heed quickly enough. A message that came to Sienna's phone. From Garrett asking if Nora would be there that evening. The fact that Nora had started leaving her jacket on the hook by the back door. Sienna called on a Tuesday morning. Tell me what is happening, she said. No preamble. Nora sat down on the edge of her bed. Nothing has happened. Truly, nothing. That is not what he asked. Is he lost? He care about him. Nora said. It was the first time she had said it out loud. She hadn't intended this to be the occasion. I'm not acting on it. He care about him. Sienna was scared for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was tightly controlled in the way it only got when she was genuinely upset. He is not in a position to be anyone else. Project, Nora. He is not. He lost his company. His wife left when Lily was 18 months old. She's been completely absent. Et has rebuilt from almost nothing. Twice. He is poor in a way that makes asking for help feel like bleeding. And the last person who got close to him left him worse off than before. A pause. You are kind and patient and good Andy. Love you. I'm not angry at you. I'm scared for both of you. Nora S. Troa was tight. You know. Do you? Yes. She pressed her hand to her chest. Do. Sienna exhaled. It can't be someone you fix, Nora. It doesn't want to be fixed. It needs someone who constant buzzed. While et only sound stuff. That is a different thing. And club, a mushard thing. You know it. Is. So, what are you going to do? Nora didn't answer. The next week, Garrett didn't come to Sienna's house. And the week after that, Sienna didn't explain it and Nora didn't ask. She understood. She went back to her apartment and sat with the key. She went to work. She came home. She cooked dinner for one. And watched the rain. It had been raining for what felt like months and tried to be honest with herself. She missed him. Not the romantic idea of him. Not a projection. She missed the specific person, the silence, the unguarded moment, the way Lily reached for him without ever thinking twice. She missed the feeling of being in a same room as something real. That was not nothing. That was worth sitting with. She found out about his past, not from Sienna, but from Garrett himself. It was late January when she ran into him, genuinely. Ran into him, in the hardware store too. Block from her apartment. He was in the paintel with a notepad. Making calculation. She came around the corner with a Karen nearly collided. With him and they both stopped and for a moment the awkwardness of the preview. 6 weeks was a physical presence. Between them. Hey, she said. Hey. She should have kept moving. She knew she should have kept moving. She said, how is Lily? Something in his face is good. She lost her first tooth last week. Very proud of herself. She should be. A pause. He looked at the notepad in his hand. You live around here. 2 blocks. Another pause. Different quality. I'm doing a job on Burnside. Small renovation. He said it without particular afflection, which was how he said most things. But she heard it a small offering. What? Kind of renovation. He looked up. Kitchen remodel. Are you doing it? Alone. Avant assistant. Et est 19 end. Doesn't know what he is doing yet, but will. She looked. Quietly. Briefly. His expression shifted not quite a smile. But something that wanted to be one. They talked for 12 minutes in the paint. Elle off a hardware store and indoors. 12 minutes he told her more than he had. In the anti-autumn. Et they started the contracting company at 28, built it over 6 years. His business partner, a man. Et they considered a close friend, had made a series of decisions that the company couldn't survive. The dissolution had been costly in every sense. Et they sold the house. And Lily had moved 3 times in 2 years. He told it plainly, without performing ether. Resilience or suffering. Just facts arranged in order. The business was gone. Et they kept working, taken job where he could find them, slowly rebuild a reputation under his own name. He was doing okay now. Note. Where had they been? Okay. I'm sorry. Nora said. Don't be. He said it quickly, then paused. Reconsider. Thank you. I mean, thank you. She looked at him. Steadily. He looked back. He heard Sienna talk to you, he said. She did. She worry. She love you. He absorbed that. Now she does. A bit. She also talked to me. Nora waited. She said some things he needed to hear. His jaw moved slightly. About pattern. About what he let myself become after everything happened. He looked at the notepad. He wasn't in a good place last year. I mean, he was functional. Lily was fine, but he wasn't available to anyone, including myself. Nora was very still. That is not an apology. He said. You don't know what it is. It's honest, she said. He nodded. Just once. They went their separate way. She walked home slowly. En inner pocket watching the January light fall slant across the wet pavement. She felt, for the first time, in month, as if the ground was steady. February. She didn't orchestrate anything. She simply stopped avoiding the truth of her own feeling and let them exist. She called him twice that month. Not to confess anything. Not to arrange anything. Once because Sienna had mention he was bidding on a large job. And she knew a graphic designer who did commercial interior and thought the connection might be useful. Once because she found a children's book at a second hand store with a fox on the cover, the Sam Fox from Lily's coloring book, and on impulse she texted him a photo of it. He called her back that evening. She loved it, he said. He'll drop it off at Sienna's. Or, pause. We at the park on Saturday morning. LADS edition. If you wanted to. She didn't say yes. Immediately. She thought about what Sienna had said. Et need someone who constant buzzed. Him while he only sound stuff. She thought about whether she was capable of that, the long, patient, unshowy work of simply being present. She thought she might be. Saturday, she said. What time? The park was cold. The rose bed, barren and brown. The gravel path, darkened with all rain. Lily came, running across the grass as soon as she saw Nora, arms out, and Nora cocked her, and swung her on and set her down and felt the laughter in it genuine. Upland. Garrett was a few steps behind. He was wearing a dark jacket and carrying 2 coffee cups. And when he held one out to her, she took it and Terfinger didn't touch this time and it didn't matter. They walked. Lily ran ahead and came back in the way. That 4-year-old though, like a planet on irregular orbit. Garrett talked a little about the Beyoncé job, about a window idea had 2 special order, about Lily's sudden obsession with Caterpillar. Nora talked, too, about her design work, about a difficult client, about the book she was currently in the middle of. They walked for an hour. When it started to drizzle, they sat under the covered pergola and Lily fell asleep against Garrett's side with the boneless immediacy of small children. Et puis, jacket over her. Nora watched. He looked up. She does this everywhere, he said quietly, so as not to wake her. Doctor's waiting room. Car wash. On sat the DMV. He looked down at her. Used to find it exhausting. Now he think it's the truest thing about her. She just trust. Completely. Without checking first. Nora said, that is what you were teaching her. He looked at her. She learned that from you. Nora said, trusting. You were the one she trust. He was very quiet. Something moved in his face that she had not seen before, something unguarded in a new way. A way that wasn't just the dropping off a barrier, but the acknowledgement of one that had existed. I'm trying, he said. No, she said. She stayed until Lily woke up and demanded to be carried. And Garrett slung her onto his back and they walked back through the drizzle to his truck and they said carefully, sometime next week. Yes, Nora said. She walked to the bus stop with her coffee still warm, and the rain gentle on her shoulder and thought, this is what it looked like. March came in hard. The large contracting job. Garrett had bid on a restaurant renovation on the east side. A kind of project that could have changed the shape of his next year, fell through. The owner had gone with a large company. He found out on a Wednesday and Sienna found out because Garrett didn't call back for 4 days. Nora found out through Sienna, who was scared in the particular way that comes from watching someone you love disappear into themselves. She didn't call him. She drove to the hardware store where he told her his truck was usually parked on weekday and she sat in her car in the parking lot for 15 minutes arguing with herself and then she went inside. He was in the limbe a saw her before. She saw him. She could tell by the way he stilled. She walked toward him. Sienna told. You. She's worried. He turned back too. The limbe. Rani sandal on the edge of a plank. Shaking for something. It's Finn. Eve had said back before. You know. Then you know you don't need I'm not here. Because you need something. She said it plainly. I'm here because he wanted to be. That is it. He was scared. She stood. There. She didn't move toward him. And she didn't move away. She let the moment be what it was. Finally, it was a good job, he said. Low. Would have been significant. Andy. He stopped. Yeah, she said. He thought. He was past needing things to work out on. The first try. Nobody has passed that. He looked at her. The expression on his face was complicated in a way she was starting to learn to read. Not walls, exactly, more. Like windows that needed cleaning. He was there, behind them. He had always been there. I'm going to be okay, he said. You know you are. He need you too. He stopped again. Allongé pose this. Time, a king that meant he was shaking the weight of every word. He need you to let me be the one who handle it. He can't he don't function. Well when he feel like a problem. Some honest solving. Nora thought about this very carefully before she answered. He understand that. He do. But he also. She looked at him. He also need you to know that I'm not here to solve you. I'm here because being around you is the most really there. Felt in a long time and I'm willing to stand back afar you need. He just don't want to disappear. Entirely. A long silence. Okay, he said very quietly. Just that. Okay. She booked her sans papier. She did. Actually needed sans papier and he walked. Her to her car and they stood therein. The grey marshlight and it wasn't a resolution and it wasn't a declaration. And it wasn't anything with a name, bu. It was real, unmistakably, irreversibly. Real. She drove home. She called Sienna. It's okay, she said, shaken, bu. Okay. Sienna was quiet for a moment. What did you say to him? The truth. Another pause. You owe you an apology. Sienna said finally. For October. He was protecting him and he think he was also. She hesitated. He was scared about what it would mean. If it worked, about watching you both get hurt. He projected a low of worst case scenario that weren't. Sienna. Yeah. It's okay. You were right about most of it. Most of it. It's not someone to fix. You were right about that. But it's also not nor pulled onto her. Street. It's not broken. It's just been carrying everything alone for so long. That it doesn't know what it feel like. Not to. Sienna was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was softer. Yeah, she said. That is exactly it. Spring arrived the way it always does in the Pacific. Northwest, not with warmth, but with light. Small increment, a few more minutes each day, the sky holding on. Just past 6 heures, then 7 heures. Garrett Gotha. New job, not the big restaurant project. But solid work, a home addition in Selwood. Steady weeks, good client. Et he read his young assistant full-time. He started looking very carefully and seriously at all commercial van that could double a mobile workshop. Lily. Turned 5. There was a party at Sienna's. A house, streamer. A chocolate cake. A specific and non-negotiable insistence. On a Fox made everything that she had apparently been planning since November. Nora came and helped hang the streamer. And learned how to spell Lily in balloon. Letters and held the cake while Sienna lit the candle. Garrett stood buzzed. Her wild day sang. His arm was against her, just the proximity of it. Neither of them moved. After the cake, Lily ran. Outside with Sienna and two small cousins and the kitchen was briefly empty. And Garrett set his on the counter and looked at the ceiling for a moment like he was shaking it for crack. Then he turned and looked at Nora. I'm not good at this, he said. At what? A gesture between them. Slightly. At saying things. You know. She was very still. I've been trying to figure out. He stopped. Started again. I've spent a long time not letting anything in. Because when things got in and then left, it was another stop. He exhaled. I'm trying to say that you didn't get in the way expected. He wasn't guarding against you. Specifically, he was guarding against everything. And you just. He looked at Isan. You kept showing up. Not pushy. Not performing. Just. There. Nora's throat was tightened. Lily. His voice changed, dropped lower. Lily has been asking about you in weeks. You don't come. Which she hasn't done before. With anyone. He looked up. That is not a guilt trip. I'm not using her to just thought you should know. That whatever you did, it was real. She knows the difference. So do you. Nora said. He held her gaze. Outside, Lily's voice rose on a high, happy not about something, a bug. Maybe a particularly interesting one. You know, it's not simple, he said. The age thing. Me having a kid. The history. Garrett. The fact that I'm not where he want to be yet. Garrett. He stopped. None of that is why I'm here, she said. I'm here because you're the most honest person I've met in a long time. Not easy. Not uncomplicated. But honest. And I've been for almost 6 months. I've been standing on my side of this. And waiting. And I think. She took a breath. I think it's okay to say it out loud. Now. He was very still. I love you. She said. I'm not in a hurry. I don't need a specific answer right now. I just. She almost smiled. He wanted you to know. He looked at her. For a long moment. Then he crossed the 3 feet between them and he stood in front of her and his hand came up and Cupid. The side of her face and she leaned into it. And he pressed his forehead against her. And they stayed like that in the kitchen with the sounds of Lily playing. Outside and the spring light coming through the windows. He said low and careful. If I were learning how to say it. You are the best thing that has happened to me in a very long time. She closed her eyes. Outside, Lily called. Papa. Nora. Come look at this bug. He pulled back. Just enough to look at her. There was something in his expression she had never seen before. Open. Unguarded. Almost frightened by its own openness. New. She took his hand. They went. Outside. It was an October night, almost. Exactly a year from the first evening. And the rain was back. Lily was see now. And had opinion about everything. She had recently decided that the color yellow was her favorite and that caterpillar were superior to butterfly, which Nora found reasonable. On both count. Sienna was at the table, wine glass in hand, talking about her coworker and the parking dispute, which had apparently entered a new phase, involving passive-aggressive post-it note, and everyone was logging. Garrett's hand was in Nora's under the table, not for anyone else. Just for them, that small, private warmth. Easy now. Natural. A way things become natural when you've stopped performing them and started just having them. Lily climbed into Nora's lap without asking. She did. This often. She had decided some month ago that Nora's lap was unacceptable. Place to be and Nora had decided the same. Across the table, Sienna cooked. Nora's hand said nothing. Just smiled, a real one, without reservation. Garrett leaned close and said something quietly in Nora's ear. She looked. A sound surprised her, full. Unguarded, a kind of look that didn't worry about how it sounded. Lily looked up. What is funny? Nothing, Garrett said. Eat your dinner. That is not an answer. It's a bad answer. Lily. Consider this. Those are the worst. Kind. You know, he said. I've been perfecting it for years. Nora looked at the table around her, the wine, the food, the rain at the windows. The people. This particular pocket of warmth inside. The autumn dark. She thought about the bus rid in the rain a year ago. She thought about the kitchen floor and a red crayon. She thought about the hardware store, the park, the parking. L'eau, the March afternoon when she had said the truth and meant it. She thought about all the way love does not arrive. The way you expect it to, how it comes. In working hours, in small repair, in a patient act of staying close when everything in you says too complicated. Turn around. How it look like a man crushing on a floor with a crayon. How it asks nothing dramatic of you. Only this. Keep showing up. She held Lily a little closer. Garrett felt it. He didn't look up from his plat, bu. His hand found her again. The rain came. Steady against the glass. They were on.